Hello again, race fans, and welcome to another day, another racetrack. It's Iowa Speedway, and though it's early in the morning out here on the West Coast and in the United States, we're racing at night here for the Alzheimer's Association 190, presented by StickQuik, as you can see there on your screen. So happy to have you with us for this very special occasion here in Iowa. These drivers get set for 217 laps around this under 1 mile oval in Newton, Iowa, United States. So great to have you with us here today on VirtualRacing.Network for round 8 of 12 for the US IndyCar League. Of course, I'm Trevor Greenfield, as always, bringing you the action on the track and the play call all day long. It's going to be set for a great day here on this awesome short track that IndyCar will be returning to shortly. So let's go ahead and step down trackside and see what's going on in qualifying. And it looks like James Kennedy, frequent runner here in the series, has come back to put in a very fast lap. See if we can catch some of the other cars still making their laps around. Rick Lovison pulling it down onto the apron. We've got Ryan Bowles out on track right now. And he's just finishing up his lap as well. So that will put him 7th fastest. Currently, James Kennedy, Howard Livingston. Now we've got Richard Kelbaugh finishing his lap, as well as Matty Simpson. And we'll go to one of the only drivers that's been courteous enough to wait for a minute so that we could get to the coverage. Here's Graham Bunyan, your points leader and champion, out there doing his very first lap, as Manuel Gomez-Esteban now gets in a lap as well. 17:03 at the back of the field. And Bunyan only good enough for 7th fastest there. So he'll be looking for a lot more speed during today's race, I'm sure. Of course, he's not really in danger of too much today. And so it looks like most of the drivers have gotten in their times. We're going to wait and see if we can find David Strid out there on the track. Mike West, Iñigo Mardones also all showing up for laps. And in the meantime, we're going to see if we can drag Dan Ensch in here for a second, who's just put in his fast lap out there. Let's see if we can get Dan Ensch in here for just a second. And hey, Dan, can you hear me there on your side of the booth, bud? Just trying to get Dan Ensch.
Oh, hey, here.
Hey, there he is. Hey, Dan, how you doing this morning?
Pretty good. I got trapped in the garage.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunate for you, but fortunately you did get in a qualifying time there in 8th position. It's a great race today. Alzheimer's Association, ALZ.org on your car, and going to be out there on the track today. Pretty special one, and I know it means a lot to you.
Yeah, I have a personal stake in this, of course, but it's something near and dear to my heart. It's something that's been happening to humankind for a long, long time, and they didn't even discover it until Alois Alzheimer's in 1906, and they've been trying to figure it out ever since. Right now, there isn't any real cure. There are some treatments that can kind of delay the process, but it's a real fight. It's the 6th leading cause of death in the United States. It's the 3rd leading when you consider the elderly, right behind cancer and heart disease, and it's something that we need to get stopped. It's a devastating disease, not only to the people who have it, but the people who surround them, their friends and family. And it's a real tussle, and we'd appreciate all the help we can get. You can get all the information you want about Alzheimer's at alz.org, alz.org, and they can tell you how to find treatment centers, how to find caregivers to help you out, because if you're a family member or a caregiver yourself, you know how precious a little time away can be. So get a hold of alz.com. They've got all the answers they can give you, and they need your support. They need your help.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you very much, Dan, for bringing the awareness of Alzheimer's Association and just in general how people can get some help if they need it, heading over to alz.org. We'll have a special message from them later on. And thanks for stopping by, Dan. Good luck out there on the track. You got a little bit of work today. You think you can get the alz.org machine up on the podium today?
Gonna be tough. Good field today. We've been practicing hard this weekend, and everybody seems to have a little secret here and there that they're not sharing. So, even though they're fixed setup, it's going to be a wild race out there today. Especially pit stops are going to be a key. Very difficult pit stops.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Thanks for all the info, and best of luck out there today, Dan.
Thank you, Trevor. Good luck.
So that was Dan Ensch stopping by for a moment, letting us know about that cause that means so much to him that he races with every week on his side pods, on his car, and bringing that awareness every week. But of course, here today, special night in Iowa, and how great it is that we are here in Iowa for this race because, of course, as I mentioned, announced next season, the IndyCar Series, NTT IndyCar Series will be back here at Iowa. They were here in real life. They were here in 2005 or 2006. Don't have my notes in front of me, but it was Dario Franchitti just clipping Marco Andretti for the race win. And so as you can see there on the screen, so it's a very special place. It's a great track. If it looks familiar to you, it's a short track. It's designed to be just like very similar to the Richmond D-shaped oval short track because it was designed by Rusty Wallace, and he had a ton of great racing at Richmond. Sorry, lost my notes there. So back here as we're watching live. We'll wait for cars to head around the track, and there we go. So David Strid taking pole position by just 1/1000th of a second over James Kennedy. You see how tight that qualifying order is, a 1/10 of a second separating first from 10th. So we look forward to a very, very close race today, and excited to get this one going. 217 laps of action around this short track D-shaped oval. Anyone's race. I'm hearing 44 to 49 laps is the window for fuel. David Strid looks set to head us down. We're going to get one more lap of pace lap here, so that's perfect. Gives us a chance to dive a little bit more in. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at the notes here. We're going to have a busy day of racing here momentarily. So here's the current points as they stand. Graham Bunyan, your pole, not your pole sitter today, your defending champion and also points leader by a huge margin. You can see why the wins and bonus points really stacking up there. But Howard Livingston in second, David Strid in third, and then Jason Lowe climbing back up into fourth with Rick Lovison dropping down in the points. So who will be on top today? Well, sentimental favorite might be to get that ALZ machine up onto the front. So maybe you're rooting for Dan Ensch, and we are green. So here we are underway at Iowa. It's David Strid out to the early lead. You can see just behind Howard Livingston, James Kennedy trying to battle it out there. And just behind James Kennedy, you may recognize that car. It's David Zaleski. He hasn't been racing with us for a couple of weeks, but we're side by side a little bit further back. This one just begins to settle in. Here we are on board with Ryan Bowles. Bowles trying to make it to the inside on Rick Lovison. That's a difficult one to do. See if he can pull it off, crank up that weight jacker a little bit. Of course, these are fixed setups in the US IndyCar League. So giving everybody equal chance to adjust their cars going forward and feel out those anti-roll bars and weight jackers. Glad to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network as we're doing this very special presentation of the Alzheimer's Association 190 from this under 1 mile circuit as we watch Will Stearns in 8th place, drop back a position, as has Rick Lovison, actually back 2 positions. But Matty Simpson, no stranger to being up there on the podium, bringing that yellow machine forward, now in 10th place, up 2 spots, looking at the backside of Dan Ensch. Now, today could be with cautions, as you see Matty Simpson really struggling and sliding up the track. And today could be possibly the ultimate fuel save of your life day, depending on how cautions go. There are a few ways that fuel strategy could work out in someone's favor, but we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out today, because I was told 49 laps is maybe the max. So I'm thinking if you're Dan Ensch, that may mean 50 laps, but even at 50, you can see you would need you need to make 16 more laps somehow, some way. So as we go back up to the front, we take a look here. Howard Livingston in 2nd place, having a good run. He's been having great runs all season long and currently shown up there in the points. And it's like he didn't skip a beat. Here in 3rd place, David Zaleski out of New York, looking to add to that points total, get back up in the points, and resume his chase for the championship. Currently sitting there in 3rd. So we are now over 10 laps. We're 12 laps done. James Kennedy now in 4th, down 2 positions, excuse me. And Ryan Bowles with Jason Lowe just behind. These drivers trying to knock it out for 5th place. Ryan Bowles already up 5 positions, excuse me. So looking absolutely on pace here today. Ryan Bowles with a race win under his belt already this season, trying to add to that total. We look back at Jason Lowe. Jason Lowe, quite a story. 3-time champion in this series. And unfortunately, this season has just not gone well at all. It's been an up and down roller coaster, certainly not indicative of Lowe's weekly speed that he brings to the car. So we'll be watching to see whether Lowe has a good short track day or not. But short track, you know, this is really, and there you can see Bowles really getting loose in front of Lowe. That allows Jason Lowe to slide by. So just as I say that, perhaps these tires already starting to suffer. Take a look at that weather. Shows 27 degrees Celsius. Why, of course it does. Always seems to change around between Celsius and Fahrenheit, but still not too cold, not too hot. It's not exactly, it's a May evening here in Richmond. So strange to be, so strange to be in the end of October, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning out here on the West Coast. It's actually dark outside, so it could be night, but we're racing at night in May in Iowa. So we all deal with the same thing, and I guess temporarily you have to suspend where you think you are. It's kind of surprised you don't get more jet lag after the end of these races. Back to the front, it is David Strid, the Australian, who continues to lead here on lap 20. He started on pole, hasn't given it up, and just basically has been under sail since lap 1. Now, I'm taking a look back, and I'm seeing a very struggling car, Graham Bunyan. Now, I'm saying struggling. I'm not sure if he's trying the mega fuel save approach or if he's actually struggling with that car. He's dropped back 6 spots. This is your points leader, your current points champion, Graham Bunyan, and currently floating around back in 14th. And just behind him, you see the Necki Racing Team car of Iñigo Mardones. And Iñigo is... both of these cars are now climbing up on the back of Manuel Gomez Esteban as well. But pretty soon they're going to need to make a move. Gomez Esteban as the champion at the back door. Usually that's a sign to that Graham is going to be hopping by. This is not a place where he can gain a lot of time by hanging back in that draft and saving fuel. And there he goes by, indeed. Graham Bunyan making the move on the low side as Manuel Gomez Esteban slides up the track. From Mardones' standpoint, with our visor cam, trying to chase down that Gomez Esteban Spanish countryman ahead of him, racing for Super Mango. We found out last week Super Mango is a supermarket chain there in Spain. So we see these two drivers now working on each other for what is essentially 14th place. And now we can see that Graham Bunyan just ahead has slid ahead of his closest teammate, which was Mike West. So these drivers now moving ahead in the field, but still saddled back in 12th. We saw Matty Simpson slide up the track a little while ago. Here's Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik on track. And he is trying his best to get in a great race today. He's been having solid finishes in the league week in and week out, racing for StickQuik as always, and we're so happy to have StickQuik's participation in the series. I'm talking a little bit about them in a bit, as we always do. Rick Kelbaugh so far up to, well, he started in 11th, and he's still in 11th. So we jump up to the front, and it's Howard Livingston who has slid back 1 spot. And so we do have Graham Bunyan jumping to the pits before the green flag. So that would be why, once again, Graham Bunyan attempting the start from the pits and work your way up to the front just to prove that he can, because he's that kind of guy. We'll see whether he can do it. Obviously, they don't tell us that they're going to be doing this, and it's up to us to catch it in the notes, which fortunately our software provides us some notes like that. Here's James Kennedy. He won last season, and back for more, down 2 positions from where he qualified in 2nd, and currently running there in 4th. We look just behind, it's Jason Lowe, and not too much further back, it's about 3 seconds back to Ryan Bowles. So traffic is going to start to become a problem here pretty soon. We look back through more of the field here. There's Dan Ensch with that ALZ.org machine. And he is up 2 spots today. He's up in 9th. I'm sorry, he's up from 9th to 7th. We're only 36 laps into this one, so like I said, a lot of these drivers probably on their fuel strategy and trying to work that one out, trying to get the most amount of laps on one tank. We'll see whether Dan can manage to get up onto that podium today. It's been something he's been trying to get done, that beautiful purple and white machine there for Spark and Last Lap Motorsports and ALZ.org. So back to your leader in front, it's David Strid from Australia. Usually he is being flanked by his countryman Graham Bunyan, but currently Graham stuck all the way down there in ninth after starting from the pits. Look back just from there, it's not far back. It's under a second back to David Zaleski, who is reeling in David Strid. So Zaleski now making good time, and we'll see whether he can chase down Strid for that first spot. You're on board with David Zaleski, who already has one win this season, and as we mentioned before, he's one of only 3 drivers to cement a win so far this season. The rest of all of the wins going to Graham Bunyan. But this gap is coming down in a hurry. Right now, it is just under 9/10 of a second. It's come down to 8/10 of a second. And you can see how close these lap times are as Zaleski continues to mount this charge and try and push forward. We watch from on board as he continues to push, make those adjustments to the weight jacker, try and get his way up to the front of this one, see if he can himself steal another win today. Well, he slipped back now a little bit. It looks like David Strid responding as Zaleski now pits in off of turn 3. There also David Strid just in front. Strid making a much wider entry, and also we can see Howard Livingston as well as James Kennedy, Ryan Bowles also into the pits. So all these drivers who were running up at the front, putting in a lot of pace, they're now giving up their positions. And we can now see Jason Lowe coming in, but that's going to turn it over on track to Dan Ensch. Keep an eye on the 52. As he heads down the inside, is he going to be pitting this time by? No, he does not. So it's now Ensch and Bunyan, as well as Mike West, Gomez Esteban, all of these drivers perhaps on a big fuel save strategy as we're heading through lap 47. Now you see that would be, I believe, Bunyan diving in, and now Iñigo Mardones, literally everybody into the pits ahead of Dan Ensch, who continues to circulate. So this is a very interesting situation as Dan continues around here, but potentially Dan can trap everybody a couple of laps down. This is a big fuel save power move. You see Dan Ensch now in. So if, for example, the caution were to come out while Dan was in front, he would trap everybody a lap down. He'd get that lap back, and depending on what happens with everyone else, he would be in a massive gain fuel strategy there. So Ensch into the pits, and almost certainly that will give the position back up to David Strid. We'll watch to see. You can watch the track map there, and you'll note Graham Bunyan is in the pits. Graham Bunyan has had a moment. Something has just happened. We're going to have to go to that. This is Richard Kelbaugh getting by Graham Bunyan, who I think Graham Bunyan goes flying across the track and has hit the inside retaining wall on the pit road, and he's had to jump to the pits. Let's go back and take a look. We're going to have to pause it momentarily as we need to jump on board here. This is Graham Bunyan going by. Just back up. This is side by side with Matty Simpson, and it looks like it just goes all wrong for Graham Bunyan. This is your points leader and champion in the wall. we'll try to back it up just one more time and see if we can tell what happened. Racing side by side. Looks like Maddie Simpson coming up on the outside. And Simpson does move down a little bit, but I don't know that that was enough to initiate netcode between them. Either way, I don't know if Graham just didn't know he was there and put a little extra correction into it. It's very difficult to tell. Only way to check, I'm just going to back it up one more time just to see, then we will get back to the live picture. Graham had just come out of the pits, so it's possible he had too much weight jacker on. It's just very difficult to tell. It does not appear as though he had too much correction on that car, but we move back to the front, and it is his Graham Bunyan's fellow countryman David Strid. I just call him his unofficial teammate, who continues to lead this one up in front of David Zaleski, who has gained 2 spots and is back there. That blue and white machine is not far. It's just 0.7 of a second back. Our timing and scoring on the left-hand side there showing even closer than that now. 0.6 seconds. That's all that remains between these two. And I think Zaleski, they pitted on exactly the same lap, so theoretically on exactly the same fuel strategy. And by the way, Dan Ensch, speaking of fuel strategy, 12 seconds back now in 7th place. He's gained 2 spots on the day. And also, by the way, Graham Bunyan continues to sit on pit road, so looks like any chance of a race win from starting from the pit road came crashing down there with that unfortunate exit out of the race, out of turn 4. Still have to, hopefully we can get a word with him at some point and figure out exactly what took place. But we watch this battle continue here between David Strid and David Zaleski for the lead of this Alzheimer's Association 190 here at Iowa. It's round 8 of the US IndyCar League, and we are over 60 laps through this one. Already past a third of the way through here. And that gap keeps getting closer. I'm no rocket scientist, but I can see when two things get closer together, we may have a battle after all between these drivers. So in the meantime, let's do a full regroup with where we're at. Eventually, once it wants to pop up on the screen. There we go. So we'll start with David Strid. Strid qualified on the pole. Kurt is sitting in first, but you needn't look very far behind. There's David Zaleski, who's coming up quick in second place. Zaleski gaining a couple of spots. We'll stay with this battle as it's for the lead. Another close battle happening, looks like just behind for Howard Livingston and James Kennedy for third. Keep an eye on that as well. And it looks like Manuel Gomez-Esteban managing to get around Mike West for 13th, and now Mike West has headed into the pits, so perhaps getting damage here. You know, one of the things that can easily happen, you can definitely tap the wall, and that can cause major problems. So now we see Strid having to deal with some lap traffic just in front. How will this play out? He hasn't had to deal with too much thus far. We watched Zaleski kind of run the high line here at Iowa. Perhaps easier on the tires as Strid about on the same sort of line through 1 and 2, but you notice here in 3 and 4, Strid going definitely about a half a lane lower, and Zaleski preferring to hang out on that high line. You see he gets a nice run down the straight, so perhaps that is one of his major advantages. He's clawing this time back. It's just over 0.3 of a second. We might have a battle for first. We continue to watch David Zaleski here on lap 73, the American trying to chase down the Australian David Strid. Exciting stuff. It's very tricky. You got to stay right on that edge where these drivers are at, trying to come forward. And, it can be right there on that edge that you're trying to get that car to balance and hold on a particular line, and you got the weight jacker cranked up, you got your other adjustments made, and it could be a little squirrely if you're putting a lot of mustard into that gas pedal. So depends on whether Zaleski is pushing hard or whether he's got it pretty well balanced, but it's looking great from this standpoint, I tell you that. Just 0.4 of a second separating these drivers. So we'll keep watching on that. In the meantime, here is James Kennedy out of Texas. He tried so hard last week at Texas, wanting to get that win, but unfortunately it remains elusive, his home track. Nevertheless, Kennedy here, I can only imagine how many times he's been to the Texas Motor Speedway. I'm sure that would have been a dream come true, but could this be his day to take a podium position here in Iowa? Certainly looking very likely, as he's got a lot of speed. Trying to now go around the lap car of Will Stearns, who is our first car a lap down. So should there be a yellow flag, he'll get a chance to get that wave around. But as all these drivers have come in, most of these drivers coming in on lap 44, we should be seeing them in here in about another 8 laps. So just 0.7 of a second. There you see the blue car of Kennedy and Howard Livingston there on your screen. Just 0.7 of a second back. And here's the battle for the lead as they go around Manuel Gomez Esteban. It's David Strid in the red and white. Used to be Dayglow red. Kind of a tough color to accomplish on iRacing, but those very familiar Team Penske colors right now with that blue and white machine, very distinctive of David Zaleski. So this one had gotten down to just 1/10 of a second. Now we see Strid opening it back up to 0.2 of a second. And, this is a short track, so these times can fluctuate quite heavily. Each and every corner, perhaps you take a slightly different line in and out. Maybe you're working the tires a little different, wants to hang into the corner a little different, or you're chasing a lap car. Either way, that gap can vary a little bit, not quite as rock solid as a place like Talladega or perhaps even Texas. In the meantime, these drivers continue in their same positions, and as David Strid now working under the lap car of Mike West, as Mike West's teammate is now out of the race. That is Graham Bunyan, who continues to sit on pit road. So these drivers now on lap 86, we're going to be coming up in 2 laps, I believe, to their next pit stop. They are on full rich, as you can see now. Also, Will Stearns and Richard Kelbaugh coming into the pits, looks like a little early. And now we watch to see, I believe, Ryan Bowles No, this is for position. This is between Dan Ensch and Ryan Bowles. This is for 6th place. It goes right out to the wall. It's hard to believe he didn't make contact. He is right up there. And trying to get the run off the corner. He does the crossover move on Dan Ensch. Easier said than done on a guy like Dan. And David Strid now into the pits. So there is Strid, your leader, now in the pits on indeed lap 89, just starting lap 89. David Zaleski also into the pits. Looks like he gets it slowed up just nicely. And also Ryan Bowles, you can see there in the pits. Just coming in there, Rick Lovison as well. We look up the track. So a number of drivers now making those pit stops. And let's go ahead and get the pit board out there so we can check that out. In the meantime, it's Jason Lowe, driver we haven't been talking about during the race today. He's been very quiet, but he's gotten ahead of Howard Livingston, currently in 1st, and he makes his way onto pit road with Howard Livingston in tow. It's 2 drivers. You also see Kennedy into the pits. And now David Strid resumes. So that leaves Dan Ensch out there to do business in the front of this, at the front of this field. So the ALZ.org machine representing well for the Alzheimer's Association. And we do have a note that Iñigo Mardones has crashed. This is entering the pits, not even close to getting it into the pits, therefore Iñigo. Unfortunate for him, he's had to jump back to the pits. So what was a top 10 day appears to be falling apart, unfortunately, for Iñigo Mardones. And now we watch Dan Ensch in the ALZ.org machine. Will he be coming into the pits this time? Yes, he does. So lap 95-96 brings it in safely. Alzheimer's Association machine might still have a chance at a podium position. You can see on the rear end plate there, end ALZ. Of course, head over to ALZ.org, get more information. I was noticing some interesting things to help families there on the ALZ.org website as we watch David Strid retake the lead here, and you can see David Zaleski falling back 2 seconds on that pit stop. But over on the ALZ.org website, for families that might have loved ones that you're not sure, or do they have Alzheimer's, do they not? What's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? It's one of the top articles right there. You can find out if any of your loved ones are having any difficulties. You can find out that information and get them the help that they need, and also a lot of information there for you to help your loved ones with. Alzheimer's Association doing a lot. We'll hear more from them here very soon. David Zaleski, 1.7 seconds back. So, you know, he's already jumping back into this one at a high pace. He's already clipped off close to a half a second off of that lead from David Strid. It's Strid now having to get around some lap traffic. You see Mike West and David Zaleski having to get around that same traffic. It's Rick Kelbaugh there on the outside. Kelbaugh is actually in 9th today, having a good run, but he is a lap down. And that's how it happens here at these short tracks. So there you can see on your screen, Ensch the last to stop. But so far, unless he gets a bunch of yellow flag help, I don't think that Feel Safe strat is where it's at. But we don't know. And we won't know until the end of this one, as obviously we're not a magic prognosticator of yellow flags. We have no idea when they're going to come out or not. But one thing for certain, David Zaleski is flying around this track. He's about to pass the lap car of... Actually, Ryan Bowles is indeed just the first lap car a lap down, and I take that back. Actually, Dan Ensch is now the first car a lap down. He just went a lap down. But Zaleski now making his way around these cars that David Strid has already had to go and chase down. So you can see Ryan Bowles very slow there, now making his way into the pits. I'm not sure what happened. He was slow on track before. We watch him as he pulls in, and I don't see too much damage. Possibly a small scrape to that nose, to the wing end plate. But back out on track. Let's take a look at that David Strid machine, who continues to lead here at 106 laps into this one. But David Zaleski just behind. Under a second back to Zaleski. Just that far. A blink of an eye and Zaleski could be all over David Strid. And again, these drivers are certainly adjusting constantly. They're going to be adjusting their line slightly. They're going to be adjusting the anti-roll bar possibly as the stint goes on. Certainly the weight jacker, and they'll be going up and down with that weight jacker depending on what the car is doing. Whether it's getting loose, you might come back down on the weight jacker, or if it's feeling a little bit tight, you go up on that weight jacker, get the car to get more balance. But you got to watch what it does to the tires. Some setups are easier on those tires than others. And that gap back to Zaleski continues to change each and every lap. It's down under 0.6 of a second now, as Strid continues to try to dominate this one. You know, it's really amazing for Strid because we've been talking about it here, if you've been paying attention during the broadcast. I mean, I'm not here to be critical. Believe me, I do official racing. I love to race in Indy cars. Haven't been out there very much recently, but that's a whole separate story. You see Strid getting around Rick Lovison there, who now goes down a lap in 7th place. So Rick actually having a pretty good run. Zaleski working his way around as well. But Strid has been so fast in this league. He's been on the pole. He's been qualifying just right behind Graham Bunyan sometimes. I mean, just always up at the front with his qualifying efforts and frequently leading the race, running well. And then tragedy strikes him somewhere during the race. We'll see whether he can keep it on track today for the whole race. But so far, he's put in a heck of a show. And continues here on lap 113. So we are now over halfway. David Zaleski now falling back to just about a second back. Then we get back to James Kennedy, not racing for position with Matty Simpson in the yellow, what we call the yellow submarine out there on the outside. Scotty McLaughlin tribute livery there. And looks like possibly Matty getting up into the wall. Saw a couple of sparks. And we did have Ryan Bowles jumping back to the pits. So we can see Ryan Bowles his day is done. And the way that it looks with from the notes with him jumping back into the pits like that, it does appear as though possibly he had a little bit of damage. It did not get properly fixed. He jumped into the pits and he currently sits on pit road still. So let's see here. Looks like 4 cars kind of out of the running at the moment between Mike West, who... Is he moving? Yes, he is moving now. Mike West is down by, 10 laps. And Ryan Bowles down about 15 laps at this point. Will Stearns left on lap 83. And Graham Bunyan, of course, left on lap 48. So, straight continuing here with Zaleski just behind as these drivers continue. We're going to go side by side and talk about great organization that we would love to tell you more about. and they are the sponsor for the race.
Printers that build prosthetic arms and legs. We've successfully transplanted hearts and lungs. Now it's time to end Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is on track to cost the nation $1.1 trillion by 2050. We can either be known for having the most expensive disease in history or for putting an end to it. Ask Congress to join the fight at alz.org/time-to-end-ALZ.
And while we're side by side, it's a good chance for us to also take a look at this awesome device. Of course, you can get more information about Alzheimer's Association at alz.org. We'll talk about them more as we go on, but this is the StickQuik, and this race also, as well as the series presented, US IndyCar League presented by StickQuik. And we talk about them every week, but StickQuik is just that device in your house that you never know that you needed, that invention, that thing that someone thought of, that you've got to have a dozen of these at least in your hands and start putting them to good use. You can see exactly what they do on your screen. They're just heavy-duty silicone with magnetic property, and what it will allow you to do is stick anything that is semi-round, probably even something that's kind of squarish as well, to be quite honest with you. I haven't even tried that, but I just keep finding these round things to keep sticking my StickQuik on. And you can then stick it to anything that is metal, steel, etc., that will accept magnetic connection. So you could stick it on your refrigerator, you could stick it on your tool chest, you could, anything steel, your car chassis, if you're working on underneath your car and you want to slap a wrench to the side, have it handy, you can do that. It's so cool. Not to mention anything that isn't metal, they give you these little metallic pads that you can stick actually onto anything that isn't metal, and then you can stick whatever you want to whatever you want. How cool is that? So all three sizes in one pack. Head over to stickquick.com and get yours today. And of course, we also thank Alzheimer's Association for their participation, and Dan Ensch for bringing their awareness as well. So back to our live picture here. Back underway with the Alzheimer's Association. We are currently racing on lap 129. We've got David Strid in the lead. He's been in the lead all race long, but not far back has been that pesky blue and white machine of David Zaleski. He's already taken one win this season, Zaleski has. Can he take another? That is a good question. Possibly will do it today. Could possibly take the position right now, as that lead keeps getting smaller and smaller. I know if I was Strid, I'd be watching that relative timing, and I'd be watching Zaleski just behind, closing the gap. As Zaleski works under that yellow submarine of Matty Simpson. Matty appears to be really, really slow at the moment. So indeed, perhaps suffering as Matty is now low on the backstretch. Let's take a look at that car, see what's going on there. Can barely get up to speed. So I don't know if he's trying to make some magical fuel number or exactly what, but he's losing position so fast that it's not going to help. Perhaps that car damaged. Can't really tell at the moment. But David Strid and David Zaleski now into the pits. So we watch as these two dive into the pits for not their last time, but probably have to do 2 more pit stops. And really that's what somebody like Dan Ensch is trying to avoid. So you see Strid and Zaleski make their way into their pit boxes, but that will give up the lead to Jason Lowe, who is on that massive fuel strat. And you can see also Richard Kelbaugh, Mr. StickQuik, diving into the pits as well. So Lowe and now Livingston is in the pits. So Livingston right behind Kelbaugh. Kelbaugh's having a great day. He's in 8th place. He's up 3 spots. Dan Ensch up into 2nd, now up into 1st as Jason Lowe pulls it on to pit road. There you can see Matty Simpson finally getting into the pits, and Jason Lowe. And there's also Rick Lovison. These drivers. So we see Dan Ensch taking over that lead. And all those drivers making their pit stops. So what I was trying to say is if Dan wanted to pull this one off on just one more stop, I think he can do it on just one more stop. But there's no way, I mean, he'll have to do it in, 2 stops. And there's no way for him to do it in 1 stop, but he would be the closest to achieving that. Ensch last time stopping on lap 95, so he's going to come into the pits here on coming up to lap 140. So getting in about 45, 46 laps this time. And not really able to save quite enough that, again, that fuel save strat is really going to work out. But nevertheless, getting an extra couple of laps on the track, that can always work in your favor because you can certainly trap others a lap down during that sort of a strategy. So here you see David Zaleski now has taken over the lead by 1.3 seconds. And it happens just like that. We cut to someone else for a minute and we miss either the pass. I'm trying to find where this happened. And it very likely happened in the pits. Let's see if we can tell. So at this moment, Zaleski shown in the lead and Strid second. See if we can tell if we back it up a little bit. Not too sure where exactly it took place. It must have been in the pits. We'll have to see if we can dig up that information for you. But Zaleski getting around Strid. The problem is there is no note that says David Zaleski has passed David Strid. So I think Strid perhaps getting held up maybe in the pits for possibly a front wing change. Not really sure. David Strid left the pits, and then David Zaleski passed him. So this is where it actually happened. And there you see, in fact, Zaleski getting by Strid right there exiting the pits. So Zaleski perhaps short filling, having that option to short fill at the end of this one. And that might actually, they would have had a short stint anyway, if you're doing the math. There's, at the end of this one, coming in on lap 133, that would put them roughly 178 into the pits, or 177 into the pits, and that would actually be about 39, 40 laps for them to make it around. So we'll see how this all shakes out at the end of this one, but maybe Strid might short fill or do a shorter pit stop at the end. One thing I do know for certain as somebody who has driven these Indy cars, and I frequently joke around about it, is this is not NASCAR. You cannot just come in and take right side tires. It does not work that way. You will not save, I mean, you may save time. I mean, you can take right side tires. Let's back up the truck here. You can take right side tires, but you will not be able to make it last. Maybe for a couple of laps that could work, but the way that these cars really all 4 tires work together in concert. It's not just about changing the right sides. It's about you really do have to get all 4 changed so that they're equal. Unfortunately, just taking rights does not work, unlike NASCAR. But back up to the front, it is David Zaleski, and he is managing to keep about a second gap back to David Strid. So we continue to keep an eye on this battle as Zaleski now trying to make his way past the lap car of Rick Lovison, who's back in 7th place right now. So Lovison, you know, another one of those drivers, and again, he's just about to go down, or actually he is a lap down, so this would put him a second lap down, I believe. So 150, oh my goodness, actually he's several laps down. I did not notice that, but yes, actually several laps down, still running in 7th. And again, this is a short track. This is where you do go down several laps. Racing for the Berkshire Lodge. But Rick Lovison there, that beautiful 4-color wrap that he has, racing with the Berkshire Lakeside Lodge. Down a few laps, but again, with the way that these long races on these ovals work out, you see David Strid now getting by just ahead. You know, you can go down a lap or 2, and again, with the yellow flags, it could all come back kind of together. You get one of your laps back that way, possibly with others pitting, etc. So there are a number of ways to climb back one of those laps for sure. Take a look over here at James Kennedy, who has moved up into 3rd place. So Kennedy looking for that podium. It would have been nice to see last week at his home race there in Fort Worth, Texas, but this week in Iowa, another special place. As you see the flash bulbs popping off there, we take a look from our US IndyCar League VirtualRacing.Network blimp, and you can see it's actually a sold-out crowd here in Iowa coming out for this race. It's so great to see standing room only. And we do have, unfortunately, Gabriel stopping by, letting us know Super Mango Team Mazinger dropping in, letting us know that, unfortunately, wheel failure or something for, I believe he was talking about Maddie Simpson earlier. Not really sure what's going on, but why don't we take a look at the Super Mango machine. There it is. Manuel Gomez Esteban up 2 spots today. Spaniard running well, just outside the top 10 in 11th. Down a few laps, but as I was mentioning, that's par for the course with a short track like this. There we go, a nice tight shot for Gabriel. Appreciate you stopping by. Love that helmet, so colorful. Looking good out there. Manuel Gomez Esteban, that's for sure. Gets the Colorful Style Award of the day. And go back to our leader, David Zaleski, here on lap 164 out of 217 over David Strid, just by a second there. It's 7.8 seconds back to James Kennedy and 8.3 now to Jason Lowe. Howard Livingston hanging on 15 seconds back, and Dan Ensch now the first car a lap down. Also, looks like Aussie Racer, which is Graham Bunyan, stopping by to let us know. Good luck to the drivers that are left. Second time been taken out at Iowa. Yeah, unfortunately, it was netcode that got him, and we were wondering about that, but it's interesting that 2 Australian racers having netcode with each other. Usually you see it from one country to much further away, but unfortunate for Graham Bunyan out of this race. And also Don Day letting us know, for those of you keeping track, Don Day was intending to do a bunch of laps with us out here in the US IndyCar League this season, but having some other commitments and now having a couple of technical issues. Also, Jason Lowe was letting us know that he had been having a couple of technical issues, and I don't know if that had affected him during the race, but in previous races, but letting us know very strange technical thing happening. So, you know, on top of course, needing to be on top of your strategy and be a fast racer and try and go after these race wins and championships, you still got to deal with the basic stuff of keeping your gear in order, and there's so many technical things that can go wrong. It's just like a real life race car from that standpoint. Just about anything can go wrong at any given moment. And let me tell you, I thought it'd be easier going to broadcasting, but there's just as many bells and whistles that can go wrong and not be set correctly. You end up with egg on your face when it's not looking right out there on the screen. But nevertheless, Jason Lowe dealing with those issues that he was having is a very odd situation where every time he was crossing start-finish line, it was actually cutting the ignition for a split second to his car. You can imagine if that happened in real life, it would be absolutely heart-stopping. So there, Howard Livingston is battling with Mike West, but not for position. Mike West having that issue earlier and back in 12. Howard Livingston hanging on in 5th, 16 seconds back from leader David Zaleski, who has now opened up quite a large margin. And you see Zaleski now coming around to put Livingston a lap down. So Zaleski making great time out there. And we hope that you're enjoying all of this here on VirtualRacing.Network, live and uninterrupted as we're able to go side by side, so you never miss the action out there. But there we're seeing David Strid onto pit, no, not onto pit road, taking evasive action and going, not sure exactly what's happening, but here, is he trying to make a pit stop? No, he's not. So I don't know if he was trying to get into the pits, but he didn't make it. He overshot the pits, now trying to get onto pit road. And David Zaleski also has gone into the pits as well. So things going from excellent to badly for David Strid, who was in the lead of this one. My goodness. I'm sorry, for David Strid, yes, who was having those issues. So we'll look back at David Strid. Let's see if we can figure out exactly what took place. I'm just going to back it up here, see if we can figure it out. Strid left, went off track. So let's see, he leaves the pit lane. And that's it. He just missed pit entry. And then gets it loose and goes across the grass and does some lawn mowing, brings it back on track. That Penske machine is much better on track. Might think of a John Deere or something if you want to plow the field. My goodness. Difficult pit entry. And that gives up the lead to Jason Lowe, who now makes his way into the pits as well. Very soon you will see that purple and white machine of Dan Ensch heading into the lead. And here on lap 181, Dan Ensch leads again as he comes around and takes that position. Of course, fighting and racing for that Alzheimer's Association, ALZ.org. We've been talking about it all race and at the top of the broadcast and during, getting in that PSA for Alzheimer's Association. But on track to hopefully be able to bring some relief and possibly find that cure for Alzheimer's. That would be so wonderful for all of us who are affected by it. But Dan doing his best to get a win for them today. I don't know if that strategy is going to play out, but he's out there in the lead and putting the ALZ.org into the minds of everybody watching here on the broadcast and all of those virtual racing fans up there in the stands. So if you get a chance, please send a shout out to Dan And certainly you're welcome to post here in the chat or in the comments if you've had any experiences with Alzheimer's Association, or Alzheimer's is part of your life. Let us know, and let us know if you support Dan Ensch in his quest to bring that awareness, as he's now down onto pit road for what should be his final stop of the day. And we go around to David Zaleski, who is back in first, but you'll notice that the second place car is now James Kennedy. So Kennedy, who was having a good run in third, kind of inheriting a position from Strid, as Strid had that issue. Will Strid be able to rebound? That is something we will look to see. Jason Lowe back out there in third, kind of looking like the old days. He's up 3 spots from where he qualified. He's had good pace all day today. He's been on a good fuel strategy, been able to outlast a couple of his competitors, and currently shown in third. We'll keep an eye on him and see if he can make more progress headed forward. In the meantime, here is David Strid, stranded back there, 14 seconds adrift of Zaleski. But I have to tell you, after the amount of off-track that he did there, that's actually not so bad. I mean, to only be 14 seconds back is actually quite substantial, but he'll be needing to claw back another 3 seconds on Jason Lowe, and right now he is not getting any time on Lowe, who appears to be kind of disappearing out into the Iowa cornfields away from David Strid. So Howard Livingston in the Care Camps machine, another great organization that we'll be talking about a lot more at the end of this season and all they do down in Florida. But Howard also raising awareness for Care Camps and those suffering with cancer down there in Florida. Those special kids. But just ahead of him on track, it is David Zaleski. We've talked about him as a potential race winner every single week that he is in that race. He, myself, I thought he was more of a high-speed, fast-track kind of racer, but this is a short track at Iowa, and it's one that requires a lot of skill and a lot of ability to really understand the car and just how fast it is, and just how fast you need to make those adjustments on the track. And so Zaleski hanging on and making the adjustments to the weight jacker, able to really have an awesome race today. So 8 seconds ahead of James Kennedy, who is in second place. And Kennedy qualified second and hanging on to second, or back into second. So Kennedy possibly with another great podium position, who might be able to climb up that back up into the order. Why don't we jump on board with Jason Lowe as he tries to reel in that 1 second. Take a look maybe even from our visor cam. It gives you a real driver's perspective. So just 20 laps to go here, and Jason Lowe continuing to try to click off those laps and possibly gain on James Kennedy, and just not quite able to get it under that 1 second gap. As you can see, he's trying hard, but it's not an easy thing to do here as everybody kind of settles into that pace, and really your only hope is that the driver in front of you kind of starts to fall off more. David Strid not really able to make much progress on the back of Jason Lowe either, so that gap now up over 4 seconds. Lowe now looking on the top side of a lap car of Mike West. And we're 17 laps to go. No caution flags thus far today. US IndyCar League staple. And it's funny I say that because in the next race there will be 1 or 2 cautions. And Mike West getting it wrong there. Up into the wall. Brings it across the track. Keeps it off of the wall. My goodness, what a save. We got to go back and watch that one. What in the world? Look how sideways that car gets and just barely comes up to the wall. That must have been some fun on board. Why don't we take a look one more time from on board Mike's point of view. This one gets, oh, he was down halfway onto the apron and it shot him up the track. I think he was trying to come into the pits perhaps. And unfortunately, he missed that pit entry. Back 5 now, and you can see Mike West is actually out of the race. Possibly getting a little chilly over there in Yakima. Starting to get a little chilly over here on the other side of the hill. That is for certain. Not looking at snow yet, though, fortunately. But a driver who is from a place that can get snow, David Zaleski, out there at the front of this one. He's had a great race all race long. It's been exciting to watch. Zaleski, as I mentioned, already a race winner here. And should he happen to get this race win, that will definitely put him up towards the top 5 and back into the hunt for this championship. Of course, pretty much everybody is still chasing Graham Bunyan, and today is going to give away a bunch of points for Graham Bunyan. Nevertheless, I'm thinking that in another race, if Graham Bunyan can just kind of finish the rest of the races, he might have this one all worked out in terms of the championship again, but we're still quite a ways away from that point. Still 4 more races to go here in season 12. But it is a fight for anybody from second on backwards, and I know that for somebody like Zaleski, who's been in this series for so long, he would love to be able to possibly get that second place in the championship. So back with David Zaleski, who's got an 8.6 second gap over Jason Lowe. It is starting to come down rather quickly, as Lowe has managed to overtake James Kennedy, and we just missed that on the track. Let's go back and watch that replay. Here it is, live. You can see a straight up pass for that position, and I think Kennedy just kind of gave him the position. I think Kennedy saw him coming from a second back and figured, all right, you got the pace, go on by. I'm going to try to hang on to this one till the end. So Lowe now up into second place. And again, this is something else that we've been talking about all season. Lowe hasn't had the type of season that he would want. Hasn't had those consistent finishes. We haven't gotten to talk to him much up on the podium. But right now, a second place would do wonders, I'm sure, not only for his confidence, but also for those points and getting back up towards the top 3 again. As he's managed to bounce himself out of that top 3 a couple of times in the points. And in the meantime, Kennedy now 2.6 seconds over David Strid. So possibly Strid might be able to claw back a little bit more time, but it's looking like it's going to finish pretty much in this order at this point. David Zaleski, just 3 laps remaining until he can salute in victory lane by shaking up that brown fizzy water and spraying it all over his fellow competitors, while simultaneously downing a bag of black and white cookie products. There's David Zaleski now on the final lap, just working with a little bit of lap traffic. And he'll bring it around turn 4 here in Iowa for the Alzheimer's Association 190. David Zaleski, your winner. He drove a heck of a race today. Jason Lowe bringing it in second place. James Kennedy in a great third position. And David Strid, another race he's going to have to question what happened. And Howard Livingston, your final driver, in the top 5. But Zaleski's day in the spotlight as he pulls it to start finish. And now we get second place also showing up. That's Jason Lowe. Lowe spinning some donuts. We look forward to seeing whether Zaleski's going to do some donuts himself. These two facing side by side here. They've known each other for quite some time. And I'm sure both of them very happy to find themselves up here at the end on the podium. So what a heck of a race. We saw quite a lot of battling towards the front. We saw some epic rundown of the leader from David Zaleski. In the end, didn't end up really needing it too much as David Strid himself had a problem and dropped back. And actually, I take it back. Zaleski did get that win done in the pits, and we'll look forward to talking to him about that. But from that point on, Strid was no match. Zaleski taking this victory here in the US IndyCar League. Some pretty cool stuff for certain. So we're going to look forward to getting some of these drivers in here for an interview. Just a moment. I'm going to look over into our broadcast booth, see if we can catch some of these drivers as they come in off of the track. And let's see if we can catch, well, we've got, let's see. Oh, I just noticed there's Dan Ensch popping in, and that's perfect timing. And so glad to have you drop in. Hey, Dan, can you hear me over there?
Yeah, I can hear you. I gotta blank the other guys out there killing me. Hang on a second.
Okay. So obviously some post-race discussion going on in Dan's ear. I don't hear any of that. I have no voice chat turned on because thanks to iRacing broadcast policy, we cannot have that or any other profanity mentioned during potential profanity mentioned during the broadcast. You got me, Dan?
Yeah, I'm back.
Hey, bud, that was a great race. I mean, for you, you ended up in 6th place. We got to see you out there for quite a lot of it, actually being able to use your fuel strategy as you're very well known for. But yeah, you managed to get up there and get some laps led for the Alzheimer's Association, and that's really what today's all about, right?
Yeah, I didn't have too bad of a strategy. I think I might have taken it a little bit too easy on that first in. I was surprised to see I had 3 or 4 laps over the rest of the field. I didn't need to save that much, and it actually came back to haunt me a little bit. That and I was very, very cautious on my pit stops, and that cost me a lot of time too. But I'll take a 6th place and be happy with it. And I'm just glad that the ALZ.org car got some FaceTime today. Thanks to Spark for helping sponsor that car as well. And, man, we had some fun out there. Can you believe that, though, Trevor? 217 laps without a yellow at Iowa. That is phenomenal.
That is incredible. We did see a few drivers getting it wrong and sliding around the track, not quite able to make their pit entry, but nevertheless keeping us away from that dreaded yellow flag. But it kind of looked to me like, as far as your fuel strategy went, it did look like you were kind of banking on getting maybe a couple of yellows during this race. Is that kind of what you needed to have this one play out so you could get the Alzorg machine up there on the podium?
Yeah, even under green flag conditions, there wasn't a fuel strategy that would get you all the way to the end on one less stop. My first stint was simply to make sure I was the last one to pit so that if a yellow did come out during the cycle, I would benefit from it. And that's the only reason I did that on the first stint. Otherwise, I was full bore the rest of the way. But yeah, it helped a little bit in that respect. It got me a couple of laps led and an extra point. So I'm happy with that. 6 is not bad in a race like this.
Definitely not. And while you were hoping possibly for a caution to help you out, get you up there onto the top step of the podium, it's great to see these green flag races completely play out. Really gives you a chance to practice your exact strategy, work those adjustments in the car, not just keep getting new tires, which is kind of an easy way to get the car handling right. Anyway, Dan, great for bringing such great awareness for the Alzheimer's Association. We really do appreciate it. And of course, everybody should just head over to alz.org. And if they can make a contribution, there's definitely a chance we can end Alzheimer's and finally find a cure to it, don't you think?
Yeah, I hope so. I got to ask, and I don't blame you if you didn't, but were you able to fit the commercial in there somewhere?
You betcha. Yep, we sure did.
Cool.
The PSA played. We'll even play it at the end of this one again before we go off the air, just to make sure everyone gets that message. But again, it's so cool what you do, and we look forward to covering you the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll get that alz.org machine up there in Victory Circle.
All righty, and congratulations to Dave Zaleski and the rest of the podium. Gosh, what a great race they ran.
You betcha. Absolutely fantastic race, and that's Dan Ensch stopping by after the race, letting us know that he gave it everything that he had, but unfortunately couldn't get that Alz machine up there on the podium and into the Victory Circle. We'll look forward to that next week. Nevertheless, a great sixth-place finish for him, continues his championship hunt, and everything all the way up to second place is certainly in the cards. So let's see who else we've got here. How about second-place finisher Jason Lowe? There he is, the man that I frequently am talking to well after the other podium finishers nowadays. But Jason, I mean, you're up there in second place legit. That was a heck of a race for you. You had great speed all day today. You made a bunch of great passes along the way, and second place on the podium. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations to Dave Z on getting the win. He's pretty much my best friend on iRacing, and if I can't get the win, I'm glad to see him get it. But man, what a good, tough, mentally demanding race. Dan Ensch built us the setup this week. It required a lot of adjustment from start to finish, but if you adjusted the right way, the car stayed under you the whole time. As usual, I was better on old tires. I can't get going when everyone else has got grip, but once the grip goes away, it really benefits me. James and I had a heck of a battle we didn't battle for most of the race. I was just chasing him. And then when I finally got to him there at the end, he made it pretty easy on me, but he knew I was faster at that point on the older tires. So, and Dave Z was off in another zip code. So I was eating his time a little bit, but we could have gone another 50 laps and I wouldn't have caught him.
He had speed even on David Strid, which is a very difficult thing to do. But your buddy and you, David Zaleski, and yourself coming home 1-2, that's a pretty cool accomplishment. And again, it's got to feel good. You didn't make those little mistakes that have cost you the rest of this season. You were able to keep it not only together, but make a pass directly on James Kennedy, who's also won a race, and take second place. I mean, you're back in championship contention. You're certainly back up there in the points to fight for second and third. Again, it's got to feel good going forward the rest of this championship.
Yeah, actually, I made two pretty significant mistakes during the race. Number one, I disabled my spotter. I ran the entire race with no spotter, no crew chief, no nothing. I just was messing around with it before the race and forgot to turn it back on. I wondered why everything was so quiet. And I was like, man, I don't have a spotter. So I had to be careful about that. And then I actually did lose control going into the pits. I think it was my first stint in, and I got all kinds of sideways, and I was about to go into the inside wall, and I just managed to catch it. It was more luck than talent for sure. But you would have been laughing at me again, because I would have gone nose first into the wall if I'd about a foot more to the left, but I got away with it. From that on, I was real careful on my pit entry. I was giving up some time there for sure, but I felt pretty strong on the exit of pit road. I don't feel like I gave up anything there. So again, hats off to Dave Z. Congratulations to David Strid. I know he had a bad spot entering the pits, or he probably would have been right there with David. So real proud of the league to go caution-free. Really proud of Dan for bringing out the word about the Alzheimer's organization. What a great race and what a great bunch of guys we got.
Yeah, you bet. And again, this is part of the initiatives doing that the US IndyCar League is now doing to be able to bring some awareness to some of these great organizations out there, and so cool for Dan and Alzheimer's Association to bring great awareness to that cause. Just a great thing you're doing here at the US IndyCar League, and also another caution-free race. So yeah, I mean, if I was out there and I wanted to get involved with a cool league like this, what's the best way to do it?
The best way is either hit us up on Facebook or just send me a message on iRacing. We do have a standard for how high your safety rating and how high your I rating needs to be. If you race league only and so it doesn't reflect your I rating, just give me a message, let me know, and I'll look at your hosted results. We average a member or two new every couple weeks. We are growing. We have a lot of people who practice with us still who don't always race with us yet, which is fine too. We pretty much will let anyone practice with us. And I don't know, thank you for the great broadcast. And again, thanks, Dan, for bringing awareness to Alzheimer's. Let me let you talk to Dave Z and get the winner up here.
Let's do that. Hey, thanks so much, Jason. Congratulations on your second, and good luck for the rest of the championship, bud.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so that's Jason Lowe coming in out of that smoke-filled cockpit after doing all those donuts on the start-finish line. And now we'll get a chance to talk to the one, the only, Mr. David Zaleski, your victor here in Iowa. Hey, David, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Trevor.
Hey, absolutely incredible race. Take us back to when in the first stint and in the second, I believe it was the first and second stint, you're chasing down David Stritt. You closed that gap down from like 2 seconds down to a second. It's under a second. You just couldn't quite get him, but you were trying hard, and then finally that pit stop came where you were able to overtake him. How did you manage to do that?
Pretty much all luck. I mean, David was the class of the field. I had a hard time catching him for sure. But that one pit stop there, we both entered at the same time, and I stayed right on him and got a good exit. So that's what gave me the advantage there.
You did manage to, I mean, you did pass him in the pits. Did you short Phil? How did that work? Or do you think he just had an issue?
I have no idea. I mean, I took both fuel and tires, so maybe it was just getting off pit road is where I got him.
Well, this is your second victory. It's kind of a bummer that we haven't seen you for some of the other races because of your incredible speed, and it seems like every single race you are a favorite to potentially win. And you showed it today. Not only did you have pace over David Stritt and the rest of the field, but just nobody was even close, not even Jason Lowe. How did you do it today? What was your secret? Was it staying up on the weight jacker? Did you make adjustments to the ARB? Was there any, I saw you kind of running a little bit higher line than David Stritt. Do you think that helped on your tires?
Not for sure. I know the start of the run, we had to go a lot of negative weight jacker, and then I would increase it throughout the run. And up towards the end, I think it was up +7, +8 on the jacker towards the end of the runs. And yeah, I kind of just like that high line in the 3 and 4.
It worked a treat. As we were on board and following you, you were able to definitely gain there in 4. And I don't know, other competitors might take a look at that. But you found all of the time to be found out there today. Really well executed. Anybody you want to thank for your victory today?
I just want to send a shout out to Dan Ensch and his Alzheimer Association. I mean, what a great sponsor for today's race. I mean, this is probably the toughest race I've ever ran. And a shout out to StickQuik and all the league members. I mean, these guys put on a hell of a show today. They raced very, very clean. It's probably the cleanest race I've seen. And shout out to all the members.
Absolutely. Super clean race. I completely agree. I do a lot of these open and fixed races at Iowa. It's never caution-free like this. Just speaks volumes about these veterans in the series and how serious and how talented they are. But you were the top one today, David. You going to be with us for the rest of the season? I mean, we need your speed out there to challenge the likes of Graham Bunyan and David Stritt.
No, hard telling, not knowing with me. I go week by week.
Well, taking a look at the rest of the schedule, if you don't mind, let's see here. Let's get that up on the screen. So today was the Iowa race. Next week, Homestead, then Michigan, Las Vegas, and then Indy. Any of those races standing out to you as a David Zaleski favorite?
Yeah, I kind of like Homestead in Michigan. I'm not a big Indianapolis guy. Vegas is an okay track too.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully you're back out there on Halloween. It's going to be our next race. Homestead and then Michigan afterwards. Congratulations, David. Again, second victory this season. Incredible speed and really well done today. And good luck with the rest of the championship.
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it. And congratulations to Jason Lowe and rest of the podium and all the guys today. Great racing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So that's David Zaleski, your victor here in Iowa, and the winner of the Alzheimer's Association 190. And why don't we go ahead and take a look one more time while we can.
We've invented cars that drive themselves and 3D printers that build prosthetic arms and legs. We've successfully transplanted hearts and lungs. Now it's time to end Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is on track to cost the nation $1.1 trillion by 2050. We can either be known for having the most expensive disease in history or for putting an end to it. Ask Congress to join the fight at alz.org/time-to-end-ALZ.
And there you go. Once again, just an absolute pleasure to be able to bring some awareness to the Alzheimer's Association. And so we'll put it up onto the screen one more time. There is your final order. David Zaleski, your victor here. Jason Lowe, second. James Kennedy, third. David Strid, fourth. Howard Livingston, fifth. Dan Ensch, sixth. Rick Lovison, seventh. Richard Kelbaugh, eighth. Mr. StickQuik there. And 9th, Iñigo Mardones. 10th, Manuel Gomez-Esteban. 11th, Mike West. 12th, Maddie Simpson. Ryan Bowles, Will Stearns, and Graham Bunyan rounding out the top order. And so it was a lot of fun. As you saw, next week we will be visiting Homestead Speedway. It should be a lot of fun. Special IndyCar course. And we'll look forward to that. Of course, my name, Trevor Greenfield. So great to have you alongside today live on the broadcast. Stay tuned again next week. And then also next week, we'll be covering the Prime Meridian Racing League as well on Wednesdays. Make sure to tune in for that and subscribe. You'll get notified of those races. And Thursday, we'll have the NTT IndyCar Series fixed as well. So a full week here on VirtualRacing.Network. Make sure to stay tuned to our Twitter, VirtualRacingN. And if you'd like to be able to contribute to us financially, we're so happy that the US IndyCar League has already made a great contribution to us and to our... Guess I'll have to jump back in time here. We lost our feed. But if you'd like to contribute, we'll put links down below in the description. You can send us a contribution. Again, US IndyCar League already coming in September in a big way. We really appreciate their contribution. So stay tuned. Next week, we'll see you again here on VirtualRacing.Network. Until then, my name is Trevor Greenfield. You've been watching the Alzheimer's Association 190 presented by StickQuik. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and a great rest of your weekend. If you enjoy Formula One, I hope you enjoy that as well. Until next week, bye-bye, everybody.